So one of my favorite things is when one of my viewers reaches out to me and says, "Is this the cruise?" and gives me an itinerary that they're on or that they're considering and asks, "Is this the cruise? Is this the cruise for me?" Well, here's one, the Enchanted Princesses 2024 to 2025 Caribbean sailings. And I thought, what a great idea. Let's take a look. Welcome to This is the Cruise. I'm Clint, and this is the channel where, of course, we look at future cruise itineraries and try to figure out if this is the cruise for you. Today, we're looking at the Enchanted Princess's Caribbean sailings from Fort Lauderdale. She's doing a series of New England cruises before she heads down to the Caribbean, where she begins to do a series of 10-day and a 14-day Caribbean cruise through the 2024-2025 winter cruise season. And just like my Sun Princess review, I did have some confusion around how Princess is naming and displaying and showing their itineraries on their website. So let's see if we can figure that out. Okay, just so we're clear, here's what we're looking at. The Enchanted Princess will be leaving from Fort Lauderdale. We're only looking at single itineraries, and if you look at Princess's website, you may see some that are 20-day itineraries. Well, those are two 10-day back-to-backs, a 24 days, a 10-day, and a 14-day back-to-back. It's the same itinerary. We're just looking at the single sailings, and we're only going to be looking at itineraries that leave from Fort Lauderdale. We're not looking at the earlier season that's leaving from New York. Let me know in the comments below if you would like me to review those. If you live in New York and you're thinking, one of these itineraries may be great, I'd like to hear more about them. Let me know, and I'll look at doing a video for you as well. And in the meantime, like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to grow the channel, and it really helps out. So let's dive right in. Our first itinerary is a 10-day round-trip Eastern Caribbean cruise with Tortola. This one leaves from Fort Lauderdale, has 2 days at sea, goes to Tortola, St. Kitts, then Antigua, St. Martin, St. Thomas, Grand Turk, and then gets us back to Fort Lauderdale. We've got, like I said, 10 nights. There are 6 ports and only 3 sea days. That gets us the sweet spot of ports to sea day ratio of 2 to 1, which I love. And we're visiting 7 countries. So we have a variety score here of 7, a repeatability score of 37, adventure 21, an enrichment score of 19, and a relaxation score of 23. Now, this ship has been sailing for a little while, so Cruise Critic has had a chance to review it. It has a Cruise Critic ship score of 4.5, which will add on to the total, and a novelty score of 2. I'm giving it a little extra novelty score bonus because they only cruise this itinerary one time. You can't actually book this itinerary except for November 16th. So it's got a bit of a unique factor at play there. This does gets our total score up to 113.5. That's 11.35 points per night, and a Clint's Cruisability score of 70.64. Not too bad. Looking at this itinerary, I think, man, I would like to go spend time on all of those islands. So well done, Princess, for that. The next itinerary we'll look at actually has 2 sailings that I want to point out. It's called the 10-day Southern Caribbean with Martinique. It leaves on November 26th and February 28th, 2025. So about a year from the time I'm filming the video. So we leave from Fort Lauderdale. We go right away over to Princess Cays just to rest and relax and unwind right away. And we have a sea day. Then we go to St. Thomas, then Dominica, then St. Lucia, Martinique, Antigua. Have 2 sea days before we come back to Fort Lauderdale. With this itinerary, it's another 10 nights, 6 ports, 3 sea days, 7 continents. This will sound familiar throughout all of these itineraries. It's a variety score of 7, a repeatability score of 39 with an adventure score of 21, enrichment 19, and relaxation 20, ship score 4.5, and a novelty score of 1.5. That comes kind of from how desirable is it, along with Princess Cays giving us a private island experience, which can be nice. So I give a little bit of a bonus point there. For a total score of 112, that's 11.2 per night. I really love the math on these 10 days. It makes it nice and easy. For a Clint Cruisability score of 69.75. What do you think? Between those two? Between these two, I would be it would be tough to pick one. Would I rather go to Martinique or Tortola? The rest of the itinerary is the same, although you'll notice one had Princess Key and one didn't. Pay attention to that as we go forward. So if you go to Princess's website, it looks like they rinse and repeat those two itineraries. It's like you do this one with Tortola or this one with Martinique, but something didn't seem right. So you go and you see here's Tortola, here's the Tortola itinerary. You change the date, you look at November 16th or the other dates, and the islands don't change. And because I try to be thorough when I do these reviews, I hop over and I always kind of cross-reference Cruise Mapper, and I noticed that on Cruise Mapper, the destinations were different between some of the dates. So then I looked a little deeper, clicked into the itinerary, and I noticed the maps don't match. But if I scroll down, the destinations are different. And they did match Cruise Mapper. So, okay, I found 2 more itineraries kind of buried in here. One for Tortola and one for Martinique. So they've got variations, but they don't really show on the search results, which was apparently typical for Princess, if you've watched my Sun Princess video. Okay, so let's look at the Tortola one. There's a 10-day Southern Caribbean with Tortola. Same name, but the dates, December 20th, January 9th, and January 29th, are all the same sailings. You leave from Fort Lauderdale and go to Princess Key right away. Then you have your day at sea. Then you go to St. Thomas, St. Martin, Antigua, St. Kitts, Tortola, have 2 sea days coming back to Fort Lauderdale. Okay, that's kind of a similar pattern, but a subtle difference, which means we should look at it. How does it score? Again, the same 10 nights, 6 ports, 3 sea days, 7 countries gives us a variety score of 7. Repeatability of 39, adventure 29, enrichment 19, and relaxation 24. They're all kind of, these 3 are looking about to be the same or close to it. Ship score, of course, 4.5, for a total score of 114.5 and a total per night score of 11.45. This gives us a Clint's Cruisability score of 70.79, a tick up a little bit. Okay, making some progress here. All right, what's the alternate Martinique one? The 10-day Southern Caribbean with Martinique, December 30th and February 8th, leaves from Fort Lauderdale, doesn't go to Princess Key, sails for 2 days down to Antigua, Martinique, St. Kitts, Dominica, St. Thomas, Grand Turk. Then we have 1 day at sea, getting back to Fort Lauderdale. Again, 10 nights, 6 ports, 3 sea days, 7 countries, variety score of 7, repeatability score of 35, adventure 21, enrichment is 20, relaxation is 19, for a total score of 107.5 at a total score per night of 10.75 and a Clint's Cruisability score of 66.79. A little bit weaker, I think. And then I dug even further and found another itinerary buried down into the webpage, and this one was a little different. It's called the 10-day Southern Caribbean with St. Lucia. It only leaves on January 19th. They're doing the sailing one time. Just like the November 16th with Tortola sailing, this is a lone itinerary. It leaves from Fort Lauderdale. You have 2 sea days. You go to Antigua, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Dominica, St. Thomas, Grand Turk. Then you have a sea day and you go back to Fort Lauderdale. 10 nights, 6 ports, 3 sea days, 7 countries again. So we get a 7 for our variety score with a repeatability of 37, adventure 22, enrichment 19, and relaxation of 20. With a ship score 4.5, of course, and a novelty score of 3, getting a little bump from a desirability perspective, as well as only sailing one time. That's great. For a total score of 112.5, with a total per night of 11.25 and a Clint's Cruisability score of 70.5. Am I going to be dealing with that light the whole time? Maybe. It's like it's trying to talk to me. And then there's the itinerary that my viewer reached out to me about. This is the 14-day Circle Caribbean. It leaves on December 6th. It leaves from Fort Lauderdale. You've got a couple of sea days as you go to Phillipsburg, St. Martin, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad, Aruba, Curacao, and then you've got a couple of sea days coming back with 1 or 2 sea days kind of scattered in. Here's 14 nights, 8 ports, 5 sea days, 9 countries. Okay, so we start with 9 for our variety score, but because we don't have at least a 2-to-1 ratio, we have 1 too many sea days to maintain that. Got to knock a 1/4 point off of the variety score for 8.75, but we get a repeatability score of 46, adventure 28, enrichment 24, relaxation 28, a ship score 4.5 with a novelty score of 3.5 for a total score of 142.75. That's a really solid score. Total per night though, because we have sea days that aren't building up our score during those times, we take a little bit of a hit there at 10.2 for Clint's cruise ability score of 72.75. That is really solid. So where does this leave us? Well, if we look at the graph, one of these itineraries is significantly better than the others. The 14-day Caribbean Circle on December 16th. I mean, that's the cruise, right? Obviously. It's the best of the bunch. It's the best cruise that the Enchanted Princess is doing the entire season. There's just hands down, no argument about it. But it feels like I'm getting out a little bit too easy on that one because it happens one time and there's a whole bunch of 10-day cruises in there. What about those? So if we set aside the 14-day and just say, this is the best one, that's it. They're only sailing at one time. Which of the 10 days can we say this is the cruise? After digging in and looking a little bit closer, we find out that the 10-day with Martinique without Princess Key is the weakest. So the one that does not go to Princess Key, starts out with 2 sea days, is the weakest of the bunch. The others are all within 2 points of each other. I'm not going to get out of giving you a pick, so this is the cruise. The 10-day Southern Caribbean with Tortola that leaves on December 20th, January 9th, or January 29th. If it was just me and my wife traveling on this, we would try to go on January 9th or January 29th, whichever one was cheaper. The reason is those are off-peak seasons, so you're getting the best cruise at most likely the best price. The December 20th sailing, however, you're going to be cruising over Christmas, which is a great cruise to go on if you have your family with you. We've done a couple or a handful of holiday cruises. A year ago Christmas, we went on a Christmas cruise and we had a blast. So I highly recommend it. It's a great time for the whole family. Secretly, I wanted it to be the St. Lucia itinerary, but then I remember the 14-day cruise goes there anyway. So you're golden. Thanks for watching. See you next time.